Rain poured down on Seoul's busy streets. Chef Jun Kim wiped sweat from his forehead as he chopped vegetables in his small restaurant kitchen. The lunch rush had just ended, and he was preparing for dinner service. His restaurant, Home Flavors, was small but popular. People loved his modern take on traditional Korean dishes. "Chef, there's a strange message for you," said Minho, his young assistant, holding out a tablet with a confused look on his face. Jun frowned. He took the tablet and nearly dropped it when he saw the symbol at the top of the message. The spiral, emblem of the Galactic Union. Earth had joined the Union only 3 years ago, and most humans still found it strange to think about aliens walking among them. "Is it real?" asked Minho, peering over his shoulder. Jun read the message twice to make sure he understood it correctly. To Chef Jun Kim of Earth, the Galactic Culinary Council extends an invitation for you to join the cooking staff aboard the Harmonic Confluence space station. Your innovative techniques using Earth ingredients have impressed our food scouts who visited your planet. You would be the first human chef to work in our kitchens. Please respond within 7 Earth days if you wish to accept this honor. Director Vex Head Chef, Harmonic Confluence. "It's real," Jun whispered. "They want me to cook in space. For aliens." Jun sat down heavily on a stool. How had alien food critics found his small restaurant, and why pick him? There were famous chefs all over Earth who would jump at this chance. Minho's eyes went wide. "Are you going to accept?" "I don't know," Jun said. "What about the restaurant? I can't just leave." That evening after closing, Jun called his sister, Nari. As a xenobiologist, someone who studied alien life, she might understand this strange invitation better. Nari's face appeared on the screen, her lab coat still on. "Jun, what's wrong? You look worried." He showed her the message. Her mouth fell open. "This is amazing," she said. "Do you know what this means? In galactic society, food is one of the most important ways cultures connect. The Harmonic Confluence is famous. It's where the best chefs from all over the galaxy work." "But why me?" Jun asked. "I just cook food like our grandmother taught me." Nari smiled. "That's exactly why. You respect tradition but aren't afraid to try new things. Earth food is still very new to the galaxy. Most aliens have never tasted it." "What about the restaurant?" Jun asked. "Can't Minho run it while you're gone? He's been with you for years." Jun thought about it. Minho was ready for more responsibility, and deep down Jun felt excited about the challenge. How long would I be gone? He wondered. The message doesn't say, Nari pointed out. But think of what you could learn. You could be the first human to understand how different species experience food. You could create entirely new kinds of cuisine. Over the next few days, Jun couldn't stop thinking about the invitation. He spent hours researching the Harmonic Confluence online. The space station was enormous, home to thousands of beings from across the galaxy. Its main purpose was cultural exchange, with food being a key part of that mission. On the 5th day, he made his decision. He called Minho into his office. "I'm going," he said simply. "I'm accepting the invitation. Can you manage things here?" Minho's face lit up. "Yes, chef. I won't let you down. This is your big chance." Jun smiled. "It's your big chance too. The restaurant is yours to run while I'm gone." The next week passed in a blur. Jun had to get special vaccines, fill out countless forms, and decide what to pack. The hardest part was figuring out which cooking tools and ingredients to bring. Galactic biosecurity rules were strict about what Earth items could travel to space. In the end, he packed his favorite chef knives, a small collection of dried spices, and some family recipes written in his grandmother's handwriting. Everything else he would have to find or adapt once he got there. On his last night on Earth, Jun sat with Nari in his empty apartment. Most of his things were in storage. "I'm scared," he admitted. "What if I fail? What if they hate human food?" Nari took his hand. "Then you'll learn why and make something better. That's what you've always done." She gave him a small package. "Open it when you get there. It's something to remind you of home." The morning of his departure, a small crowd gathered outside his restaurant. Friends, regular customers, and even a few reporters came to see him off. A sleek shuttle waited to take him to the orbital station, where he would board the Galactic transport. "Make us proud," someone called as he waved goodbye. The shuttle ride was smooth, but June's heart raced as they approached the orbital station. Through the window, he could see the massive Galactic ship waiting. It was unlike anything humans had built, shaped like a giant silver leaf with blue lights pulsing along its edges. Inside the orbital station, an alien waited for him. The being stood on 4 thin legs with bluish skin and 4 arms. 2 large eyes blinked at June. "Chef Kim?" the alien said, the translator device at its neck converting its clicks and whistles into Korean. "I am Kir, your liaison from the Harmonic Confluence. Welcome." June bowed slightly. "Thank you for meeting me. The transport will depart soon. Do you have all your approved items?" Kir gestured at June's 2 bags. "Yes, everything passed inspection." As they walked toward the boarding area, Kir explained more about where they were going. The Harmonic Confluence orbits a star at the center of 3 trade routes. 50 different species live and work there. You will be the first human on our culinary staff. June felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. "I hope I can represent Earth well." "That is the hope of the Council, too," Kir said. But something in the alien's tone made June wonder if everyone shared that hope. The Galactic transport was even more impressive inside. June was shown to a small but comfortable cabin designed for oxygen-breathing humanoids. The journey would take 3 days, Kir explained before leaving him to settle in. Alone in his cabin, June opened Nari's package. Inside was a small digital frame showing photos of Seoul, his restaurant, and his family. There was also a handwritten note. "The stars have always been there. Now they get to taste your food." June smiled and placed the frame on the small shelf above his bed. As the transport hummed to life, he felt the slight shift as they left Earth's orbit. Through his cabin window, he watched his blue home planet grow smaller. The stars stretched into lines of light as the ship accelerated to faster-than-light speed. June took a deep breath. There was no turning back now. Whatever waited for him, aboard the Harmonic Confluence, he would face it with the same care and creativity he brought to his cooking. In 3 days, he would be the first human chef to cook for the galaxy. The thought terrified and thrilled him in equal measure. The 3-day journey passed quickly. June spent most of his time reading about alien cultures and biology on the tablet Kir had given him. There was so much to learn. Some aliens ate only once a month. Others needed to eat constantly. Some species could not digest solid food at all. The information was overwhelming. On the final day, a soft chime sounded in his cabin. "We are approaching the Harmonic Confluence," announced a pleasant voice from the ship's computer. "Please prepare for arrival." June packed his few belongings and went to the viewing deck. What he saw took his breath away. The space station was massive, at least 10 times larger than Earth's largest orbital platform. It looked like a giant snowflake made of metal and glass, spinning slowly against the backdrop of a swirling purple nebula. "Impressive, isn't it?" Kir said, joining him at the window. "Over 20,000 beings call it home. The central ring houses the main kitchens and dining halls." June nodded, unable to find words. Soon the transport ship docked at one of the station's many arms. When the doors opened, June was hit by a wall of strange smells, some pleasant, others sharp and alien. "You'll get used to it," Kir said, noticing June's reaction. "Each section has different atmospheric settings for different species. Your quarters are in the oxygen breathers zone, where the air is similar to Earth's." They walked through wide corridors filled with aliens of all shapes and sizes. Some floated rather than walked. Others moved on many legs. A few seemed to glide along the ceiling. Most gave June curious glances. Humans were still a rare sight in deep space. "Tomorrow you'll meet the Culinary Council," Kir explained as they reached June's quarters. "Rest well tonight." June's room was small but comfortable, designed for humanoid bodies. After Kir left, he unpacked his bags and placed his grandmother's recipes on the desk. He tried to sleep, but his mind raced with questions and doubts. The next morning, Kier arrived to take him to the main kitchen complex. The hallways they walked through grew wider and taller, until they entered an enormous open space filled with cooking stations, strange equipment, and dozens of busy alien chefs. "This is the central food preparation facility," Kier announced proudly. "Each cooking area is designed for specific biological needs and cultural traditions." June looked around in amazement. In one section, a chef with 6 arms worked with glowing liquids. In another, a floating cloud-like being manipulated what looked like living plants. The variety of cooking methods was staggering. "Where will I work?" June asked. Kier led him to a small area in the corner. "This is the primitive thermal application section. It's been assigned to you." June frowned at the word primitive but said nothing. The space was tiny compared to the other cooking stations, with a simple heating unit and basic tools. "The council will see you now," Kier said, leading him away before he could inspect his workspace further. They entered a circular room where 7 aliens sat around a large table. In the center was a tall, crystalline being that seemed to shimmer with internal light. "Director Vex," Kier announced, "this is Chef June Kim of Earth." The crystalline being turned its faceted head toward June. It had no visible eyes, but June felt examined nonetheless. "Human," Director Vex said, its voice a series of musical tones translated by the device at June's ear. "We welcome you to the harmonic confluence. Your species is new to galactic society, and we are curious about your cooking methods." Something in the way Vex said curious made June feel like a strange specimen rather than a respected chef. "Thank you for the invitation," June said, bowing slightly. "I'm honored to share Earth's culinary traditions with you." Another council member, a short being with red scales, spoke up. "Is it true that humans still use actual fire to cook food?" "How quaint." June felt his face grow warm. "Yes, many of our techniques involve heat, and you physically chew." "Your food?" interrupted another. This one a gelatinous blob with multiple eye stalks. "With teeth? How do you prevent damaging yourself?" Before June could answer, the questions continued, each making human cooking sound more bizarre and backward. June's confidence began to crumble. Finally, a different voice spoke. "I think we should let Chef Kim demonstrate his skills before we judge." The speaker was a sleek, bird-like being with iridescent feathers and large golden eyes. "Thank you, Chef Tay," Director Vex said. "Indeed, we have arranged an introductory banquet for this evening. Chef Kim will prepare several Earth dishes and we will all attempt to appreciate them." As the meeting ended, the bird-like chef approached June. "Don't mind them," she said, her translator creating a soft, melodic voice. "They treated me the same way when I first arrived. I'm Tay." June smiled gratefully. "Thank you for speaking up. I'm a bit overwhelmed." "My species shares some taste preferences with humans," Tay explained. "We both evolved to eat both plants and animals. Many council members evolved very differently." She walked with him back to the kitchen. "What will you prepare for the banquet?" June thought of his grandmother's recipes. "I was planning to make some Korean dishes, bibimbap, kimchi, and grilled marinated beef." Tay made a trilling sound that the translator didn't catch. "Be careful with the spices. Many species find them overwhelming. And raw vegetables are indigestible to at least 12 council members." June's heart sank. He hadn't considered that his food might be physically incompatible with alien biology. "What should I do?" "Make what you know," Tay advised. "But perhaps prepare simple versions. This first meal is more symbolic than practical. Many will only taste a tiny amount." For the rest of the day, June worked in his small kitchen area, preparing his dishes with the limited ingredients available. Some Earth foods had been imported, but others he had to substitute with alien equivalents. The work kept his mind busy, but his worry grew with each passing hour. That evening, the dining hall filled with curious aliens. June's dishes were set out alongside food prepared by other chefs. He stood nervously beside his table, watching as the council members approached. Director Vex was first, the crystalline being held a small piece of seasoned beef above its upper section. The meat seemed to dissolve, absorbed directly into Vex's crystalline body. There was a long pause. "Interesting," Vex finally said. "The chemical composition is chaotic, but not unpleasant." Others were less diplomatic. The red-scaled being spat out the kimchi immediately. "Too acidic. It burns." Another complained that the food required too much effort to consume. Several couldn't process the food at all and merely analyzed its chemical makeup. Only Tay and a few others showed genuine appreciation. "The balance of flavors is remarkable," Tay told him. "My people would enjoy this." But by the end of the evening, it was clear that June's food had not been a success. As the guests departed, Director Vex approached him. "Human chef," Vex said coldly. "It appears your cuisine is not well suited for most galactic palates. Perhaps bringing you here was premature." June returned to his quarters feeling defeated. He sat on the edge of his bed and took out his tablet to call his sister. When Nari's face appeared on the screen, he couldn't hide his disappointment. "It was a disaster," he told her. "They hated the food. Some couldn't even eat it." Nari looked concerned. "Did you expect them to love Korean food immediately? Their bodies are completely different from ours." "I know, but—" "June," she interrupted gently, "when you started your restaurant, how many times did you change recipes until they were right?" He smiled slightly. "Hundreds of times." "Exactly. You're not there to make them love human food as it is. You're there to create something new, something that bridges the gap between species." June thought about this. "But how? There are so many different aliens with different needs." "That's the challenge," Nari said. "And that's why they chose you. You've always been good at taking traditional recipes and making them new. Now you just need to understand what these beings truly want from food." After the call ended, June looked at his grandmother's recipes again. Maybe Nari was right. He wasn't here to force aliens to appreciate human food. He was here to learn, adapt, and create something entirely new. With renewed determination, June made himself a promise. He would study every alien cuisine on the station. He would understand their biology, their preferences, their food culture, and then, only then, would he show them what a human chef could really do. The next morning, June woke up early with a new plan. Instead of trying to make aliens love human food, he would first learn everything about alien food. He dressed quickly and headed to the main kitchen before most chefs arrived. Kier found him there, studying the station layout on his tablet. "You're up early, Chef Kim," the four-armed alien said. "I need to understand how everyone cooks here," June explained. "Can I watch the other chefs work?" Kier seemed surprised but nodded. "That is unusual, but not against any rules." For the next 2 weeks, June spent each day in a different section of the kitchen. He carried a small notebook and wrote down everything he observed. Most alien chefs were confused by his presence at first, but many warmed up to him when they saw his genuine interest. In the mool section, he watched as the jelly-like aliens created dishes that vibrated at specific frequencies. "Our food sings to our bodies," explained Chef Glow, a senior mool chef. "Different vibrations give different nutrients and pleasures." June touched a bowl of quivering purple substance. He couldn't taste it directly. It would be toxic to humans, but he could feel the gentle vibrations against his fingers. "Can the vibrations be changed?" he asked. Of course, Glow demonstrated by touching the bowl with 3 of his tentacles. The vibrations shifted to a higher pitch. Now it gives feelings of happiness along with protein compounds. Later that week, June visited the insect-like happy chefs. Their food changed colors and composition while being eaten. "Our digestive process begins outside our bodies," Chef Zik explained, showing June a plate of what looked like moving crystals. "The food responds to our saliva by breaking down into different nutrients." "Can you control which nutrients it becomes?" June asked, fascinated. "That is the art of our cooking." Zik clicked his mandibles proudly. "A master chef can make one dish become many different meals depending on who eats it." The plant-like droll prepared living foods that continued growing as they were digested. "We provide energy to the food, and it provides different energy back to us," their chef told June. It is a partnership. Each day brought new discoveries. June filled notebook after notebook with observations. He created a chart of which species could eat which compounds. He noted which sensory experiences each species valued most in their food. Some cared about taste, others about texture, light patterns, or even magnetic properties. Tay often joined him on these explorations. The bird-like chef seemed genuinely interested in June's project. "What you're doing is unprecedented," she told him one day, as they watched a crystalline chef similar to Director Vex prepare a light-based dish. "Most chefs stick to their own species techniques. On Earth, we have many different cooking styles that have mixed together over time," June explained. "French techniques with Korean ingredients, Italian flavors with Japanese presentations. I think something similar could work here." Late one night, after most chefs had left, June was experimenting in his small kitchen area. He had borrowed small amounts of ingredients from different sections, carefully checking that none were toxic to the others. He was trying to create a dish that combined techniques from 3 different species. As he worked, mixing a vibrating moule gel with a color-changing happy crystal powder, something unexpected happened. The mixture gave off a scent that was not typical of either ingredient alone. June looked up to see several passing aliens stop and turn toward his kitchen. A moule, a happy, and a humanoid species June didn't recognize all approached his counter. "What is that smell?" asked the humanoid, its nose slits widening. "Just an experiment," June said, surprised by their interest. The moule extended a tentacle. "May I?" June nodded, and the moule touched the mixture. "It vibrates in a pattern my body recognizes. As pleasant," the moule said with surprise. The happy moved closer too. "The color shift suggests compounds that would nourish my kind," it clicked. The humanoid alien leaned in as well. "And the aroma activates my pleasure receptors." June was stunned. By accident, he had created something that appealed to 3 very different species, each for completely different reasons. The moule enjoyed the vibrations, the happy responded to the color changes, and the humanoid appreciated the smell. "How did you do this?" asked the humanoid. "I'm not completely sure," June admitted. "I've been studying how different species experience food. I think I accidentally found a combination that works on multiple levels." Word of June's late-night experiment spread quickly. The next day, several chefs came to ask about his methods. Even Director Vex sent a message requesting a report on his unusual culinary experiment. Tay was the most excited. "Don't you see what you've discovered?" she said. "You've found a way to create dishes that can be shared across species. This has never been done before." June spent the next few days refining his technique. He realized that certain compounds could be combined to create multisensory experiences. A dish could vibrate in ways that pleased the moule while releasing aromas for smell-based species and changing colors for the visually oriented. He created a test dish, a modified version of kimchi using bioluminescent fungi from the happy homeworld, vibration-enhancing minerals beloved by the moule, and herbs that released pleasing aromas for humanoid species. When he presented it to a small group of different aliens, the response was better than he had hoped. Each found something enjoyable in the dish, though for entirely different reasons. "The brilliance is in the layering," Tay explained to the others. "Human chef Kim has created food that speaks different languages to different bodies." Even a few council members came to try the experiment. One, a floating gas-based being, was particularly impressed. "Your approach is innovative," it admitted. "I taste nothing, as I have no taste buds, but the electrical patterns in this food nourish me surprisingly well." June continued his research, creating a detailed guide to cross-species flavor preferences. He noticed patterns that no one had documented before. Despite vast biological differences, certain concepts seemed universal: balance, contrast, and sensory satisfaction. In his small kitchen, now often crowded with curious onlookers, June refined his techniques. He began thinking of his dishes like the Korean banchan, small side dishes that complemented each other. But his version was different. Each component appealed to different species in different ways. He called his approach harmonic cuisine, named after the space station itself. Each dish contained multiple voices that sang to different biological systems. One evening, as June was cleaning up after another successful experiment, Director Vex glided into his kitchen area. The crystalline being had barely spoken to June since the disastrous banquet weeks earlier. "Human chef," Vex said, its crystal body catching the light. "Your recent work has come to the Council's attention." June tensed, unsure if this was good or bad news. "What you are attempting is unorthodox," Vex continued. "Cross-species cuisine has been tried before, but never with your approach." "I'm still learning," June said carefully. "Indeed." Vex paused. "The Council has decided to give you a formal opportunity to demonstrate your methods. In 2 weeks, there will be a diplomatic dinner with representatives from 12 species. You will prepare one of your harmonic dishes as part of the meal." June's heart raced. This was a huge opportunity and a huge risk. "Thank you, Director. I won't disappoint you." After Vex left, Tay rushed in. "I heard. This is your chance to show everyone what human cooking can really do." June nodded, excited but nervous. "I'll need to create something special, something that speaks to all 12 species at once." "If anyone can do it, you can," Tay said confidently. "You've already changed how many of us think about food." As June walked back to his quarters that night, he felt a new sense of purpose. He had come to the harmonic confluence as an outsider, seen as primitive and simple, but now his very primitive approach, his human willingness to experiment, to cross boundaries, to see connections where others saw only differences, was opening new possibilities. He thought of his small restaurant back on Earth, and how proud his grandmother would be to see her recipes inspiring dishes that could be shared across the stars. With determination, he began planning the most important meal of his career, one that might change galactic cuisine forever. The 2 weeks before the diplomatic dinner passed quickly. June worked day and night, testing and refining his dish. He wanted to create something truly special, a meal that all 12 species could enjoy together. "You need to rest," Tay told him one evening, finding him still in the kitchen past midnight. "You won't impress anyone if you collapse during the dinner." June rubbed his tired eyes. "I know, but this dish has to be perfect. Do you know which species will be at the dinner?" Tay nodded. "I checked the guest list. There will be representatives from the Mool, Happy, and Droll, of course, but also the crystalline Vex, gas-based Zun, and several others you haven't worked with yet." June groaned. "How can I create something for species I've never cooked for?" "Use what you've learned," Tay suggested. "Look for patterns. What do these different species have in common?" This gave June an idea. The next day, he gathered all his notes and spread them across his workstation. He began looking for connections, not just in what each species could eat, but in how they experienced food. After hours of study, he noticed something interesting. While alien biology varied enormously, most species responded positively to certain basic experiences: contrast between textures, temperatures, or flavors, rhythm in vibrations or color changes, and balance of different sensory inputs. "It's like music," June said to himself. "Different instruments, same principles." This insight guided his final creation. He designed a dish with multiple components that worked together like an orchestra. The base was a gel that vibrated at frequencies pleasant to touch-sensitive species. Embedded in the gel were crystals that changed color and released different compounds when exposed to saliva or atmospheric gases. Around this core, he arranged different elements that released aromas in waves, creating a time-release effect that would unfold throughout the meal. He called his creation Harmony in 5 Movements, inspired by Earth classical music. The day of the diplomatic dinner arrived. June was nervous but excited as he prepared his station in the main dining hall. The room had been arranged with a large circular table where representatives from all 12 species could gather. Tay helped him set up. "Remember," she said, "no matter what happens tonight, you've already accomplished something remarkable. No one has brought species together at the same table like this before." The guests began to arrive. June recognized some from his research. The floating Zun, who existed as clouds of intelligent gas, the tall silicon-based Trill, who communicated through light patterns on their skin, and of course, Director Vex and other council members. When everyone was seated, June's dish was served. As the first course, he watched nervously as the 12 very different beings approached his creation in their various ways, some touching it, others smelling it, some bathing it in light. For a moment, there was silence. Then, a soft humming came from the Mool representative. A sound June had learned indicated pleasure. The Happy's exoskeleton changed to a bright blue, another good sign. One by one, each being reacted, most with clear signs of enjoyment. The Zune representative, a swirling purple cloud, expanded slightly. Fascinating, it said through its translator. The way the aromas release in sequence speaks to my species' way of consuming nutrients through gas exchange. Director Vex turned its crystalline body toward June. Explain your method, human chef. June stepped forward. On Earth, we have a tradition called banchan, small side dishes that complement the main meal. Each person can combine them differently according to their taste. I applied that concept here, but on a deeper level. Each component of this dish is designed to speak to different biological systems simultaneously. The Trill representative's skin flashed with light patterns. You have created a meal that can be experienced communally despite our differences. This is, significant. What happened next surprised everyone. The dinner was supposed to include several more courses from other chefs, but the guests became so engaged in discussing June's dish that the conversation continued long after they had finished eating. Two representatives from species that had been in a trade dispute for years found themselves enthusiastically comparing their experiences of the meal. This led to a breakthrough in their talks that had seemed impossible earlier. As the evening ended, Director Vex approached June. Human chef, your approach has proven more valuable than anticipated. The council wishes to speak with you tomorrow. The next morning, June stood before the Culinary Council, unsure what to expect. Your harmonic cuisine has created quite a stir, Director Vex began. Not only did it succeed as food, but it facilitated diplomatic communication in an unexpected way. Another council member added, the shared experience of your dish created common ground between species that normally struggled to find it. We would like you to expand your program, Director Vex continued. The council will provide you with a larger kitchen space and assistance. You will document your methods for the Great Culinary Archive on Bibliotheca. June was stunned. Thank you, Director. That's a great honor. Furthermore, Vex added, we would like you to train other chefs in your techniques. Your approach could be valuable beyond cuisine. It could become a new form of galactic diplomacy. In the following months, June's kitchen area was expanded to become one of the largest in the station. He began training a team of chefs from various species, with Tai as his main assistant. Together, they developed new dishes that could be shared across biological boundaries. Word of the human chef's innovation spread throughout the station and beyond. Visitors from other space stations and planetary embassies came to experience harmonic cuisine for themselves. June created a standardized system for developing cross-species recipes. First, identify the core sensory experiences valued by each species. Then find ingredients and techniques that could deliver those experiences simultaneously. Finally, arrange these elements in ways that created meaningful sequences, like movements in a symphony. His team's biggest challenge came when two historically hostile species, the methane-breathing drove and the oxygen-dependent fin, were scheduled for crucial peace talks. Previous negotiations had failed because the two species couldn't even share the same room, let alone a meal. June and his team worked for weeks to create a solution. They designed a special dining table with separated atmospheric chambers but a shared eating surface. The meal they created existed at the boundary between these environments, changing properties as it moved from one side to the other. When the delegates arrived, they were skeptical. But as they experienced the meal, watching it transform as it passed between their different environments, something changed. The shared wonder of this experience opened a dialogue that had seemed impossible. Your food created a bridge, the Drov delegate told June, after successfully concluding the first round of talks. We began to see our differences not as barriers but as opportunities for exchange. 6 months after his arrival on the harmonic confluence, June's methods were officially recognized by the Galactic Council. The term human-style fusion entered the Galactic culinary lexicon. His techniques were documented for inclusion in the Great Archive. The once tiny, primitive thermal application section of the kitchen had become a bustling center of innovation. Chefs from all species came to learn and contribute. June was no longer viewed as a curiosity from a backward planet, but as a pioneer of a new culinary philosophy. One evening, as June was finishing a training session with new chefs, Director Vex visited his kitchen. "When we invited you here, human chef," Vex admitted. "Some on the council saw it merely as a diplomatic gesture toward Earth. Few expected you to contribute anything significant." June smiled. "I understand. I wasn't sure I belonged here either. You have shown us that sometimes a fresh perspective can see connections that others miss," Vex continued. "Your human adaptability, which we once considered primitive, has proven to be a remarkable strength." As June looked around at his diverse team of chefs, beings from across the galaxy working together to create food that transcended their differences, he felt a deep sense of pride. From his grandmother's small kitchen in Seoul to the heart of galactic cuisine, the simple joy of sharing food had remained his guiding principle. He had not only found his place among the stars, but had changed how the stars dined together. 2 years passed quickly aboard the harmonic confluence. June's kitchen had grown from a small corner to an entire section of the culinary complex. His team now included chefs from 20 different species, all practicing what had become known throughout the galaxy as harmonic cuisine. One quiet morning, June sat in his office reviewing recipes when his tablet chimed. It was a message from Earth, from his sister Nari. His smile faded as he read. Nari was sick. The illness wasn't life-threatening, but she would need several months of treatment. "She's the only family I have left," June explained to Tay later that day. They sat in the station's observation dome, watching the swirling nebula outside. "I should be there with her." Tay's feathers rustled in what June had learned was a sign of sympathy. "Will you return to Earth permanently?" June sighed. "I don't know. I've built something important here, but Earth is still home." The next day, June requested a meeting with Director Vex, the crystalline being listened as June explained his need to return to Earth. "I understand family bonds are important to humans," Vex said. "Your work here has been valuable. Perhaps there is a way to continue it, even if you return to your planet." Vex proposed a solution. June would become an official galactic culinary ambassador to Earth. He would introduce harmonic cuisine there while continuing to send new recipes and techniques. Back to the confluence. "Earth is still new to galactic society," Vex said. "What better way to build connections than through the universal language of food?" June was touched by the offer. "Thank you, Director. I would be honored." News of June's departure spread quickly through the station. Chefs from all sections came to wish him well. Many gave him gifts, special ingredients from their homeworlds, unique cooking tools, or recipe books written in their native languages. The Culinary Council held a special dinner in his honor. As he entered the dining hall, June was surprised to see it filled with beings from across the station, not just chefs, but diplomats, technicians, and visitors who had experienced his food. Director Vex stood to address the gathering. 2 years ago, human chef June Kim arrived among us. Many, including myself, doubted that a chef from such a newly joined world would have much to offer galactic cuisine. Vex's crystalline body glimmered. We were wrong. The director gestured to the diverse crowd. Look around this room. Species that once could not share meals now dine together. Trading partners whose negotiations were once tense now discuss deals over harmonic dishes. Chef Kim has shown us that differences in biology need not separate us at the table. Vex approached June, holding something in its upper appendages, a small box made of materials that seemed to shift and change in the light. The council presents you with this token of our esteem, Vex said. These are ceremonial cooking utensils crafted from materials gathered from 50 worlds. They symbolize the bridges you have built between our diverse cuisines. June accepted the gift with a bow. Thank you, Director. But the true gift has been learning from all of you. He looked around the room. When I came here, I thought I would teach aliens about human food. Instead, you taught me that sharing food is universal, even when our bodies are completely different. After the speeches, as guests mingled and enjoyed harmonic dishes prepared by June's team, Tay approached him. I have something to tell you, she said, her golden eyes bright. I've requested permission to accompany you to Earth. June was surprised. You want to come to Earth? Why? Our work isn't finished, Tay explained. Harmonic cuisine is still developing. Besides, I'm curious about your world. And, she added, her feathers shifting to a bright blue that indicated excitement, several other chefs have also applied to visit Earth to study human cooking firsthand. The idea of bringing alien chefs to his small restaurant in Seoul made June laugh. My regular customers will be shocked. Precisely why it must be done, Tay said. The best way to join the Galactic community is through shared experiences. 2 weeks later, June stood in the docking bay, ready to board the transport ship that would take him back to Earth. His team gathered to say goodbye. Many would continue his work at the confluence, while others, like Tay, would join him on Earth later, once diplomatic arrangements were complete. As the transport ship pulled away from the station, June watched the harmonic confluence grow smaller, against the backdrop of stars. He felt a mixture of sadness and excitement. He was leaving something wonderful behind, but also bringing something new back to Earth. The journey home took 3 days. When they finally reached Earth orbit, June pressed his face to the window like a child, drinking in the sight of his blue home planet. How strange that it now seemed small to him, when once it had been his entire world. His sister Nari was waiting at the Seoul landing pad, looking thin but happy. She hugged him tightly. You look different, she said, stepping back to examine him. 2 years cooking for aliens will do that, June laughed. As they drove through the city, June was struck by how normal yet strange everything seemed. The streets, the buildings, the people, all familiar, yet somehow he saw them with new eyes. I've been following all the news about your cooking, Nari said. You're famous here now, you know. The chef who conquered the stars, they call you. June shook his head. I didn't conquer anything. I just found a way for different beings to share a meal. That's even more impressive, Nari said. In the weeks that followed, June reopened his restaurant with a difference. Home Flavors now had 2 sections, one for human diners and another specially designed for non-human visitors. Minho stayed on as manager of the human section, while June focused on developing the alien dining experience. When Tay and 3 other alien chefs arrived from the confluence, the restaurant became the first truly interstellar dining establishment on Earth. Curious humans came from around the world to see aliens enjoying meals alongside them, separated by special atmospheric barriers but sharing the harmonic dishes that bridged their differences. News agencies covered the opening. This is just the beginning, June told reporters. Food has always brought humans together across cultural boundaries. Now it's bringing us together across the stars. The influence of June's innovations spread quickly. Cooking schools around Earth began offering courses in xenogastronomy. Human chefs were recruited for diplomatic vessels and alien worlds. Earth, once considered a backwater planet, became renowned throughout the galaxy for its culinary diplomacy. 6 months after his return, when Nari had recovered from her illness, she joined him at the restaurant as a consultant. Her knowledge of alien biology proved invaluable as they expanded their menu. Remember when you first got that message? She asked one evening as they closed up. You were so worried about leaving your restaurant. June smiled. And now the restaurant has become something I never could have imagined. 1 year after his return to Earth, June stood before a class of mixed human and alien culinary students at the newly established Galactic Culinary Institute in Seoul. The classroom had special sections for different atmospheric needs, but the central demonstration table was designed with June's harmonic principles, allowing all to observe and participate. Today, he told his students, we're going to make kimchi 7 ways, adapted for 7 different biological systems. As he demonstrated the techniques he had developed on the harmonic confluence, June thought about the journey that had brought him here. From his grandmother's simple kitchen to the stars and back again, he had carried the most basic human tradition, the sharing of food, to places she could never have imagined. The universe, he told his attentive students, is like a well-stocked pantry. The ingredients might be different everywhere you go, but the joy of creating something delicious is truly universal. After class, June walked outside with Tay. Earth's evening sky was darkening and the first stars were becoming visible. Look, he said, pointing upward. One of those stars is where the confluence orbits. Tay's feathers shifted to a peaceful blue. Does it feel strange to have gone so far and come home again? June considered the question. Not strange. Complete. I took a little of Earth to the stars, and now I've brought a little of the stars back to Earth. Together, the human chef and his alien friend stood watching the sky as more stars appeared one by one, each a potential kitchen, each a new flavor waiting to be discovered.